Steel City Gym, Sheffield, Showtime, Sonny Edwards. How are you, Sonny?
Yeah, I'm all good, can't complain. Near the end of camp, so nearly got the promised land soon, after we weighed in. But yeah, everything's good.
Tell me about your call. Let's have a look at this name again. Rosendo Hugo Guarneros, September 14. Tell us about him.
From what I know, he's sort of typical Mexican, I suppose. Comes forward, throws big punches. He can punch a little bit. His record suggests that, half his wins by knockout. But yeah, just hopefully for me another international step up. Getting me ready for the bigger fights on the horizon. Obviously, we don't.
Is this another step into the unknown, or one of these things that can get a bit dangerous every now and again if you don't take them seriously?
Of course, we see so many domestic fighters, British level fighters, come up when they start stepping through the gears. They fight one of these international sort of unknown quantities and they come up short, and it puts a massive block on their career. Obviously, I rate myself to get up to world level, but you've got to pass these tests and these gut checks. Obviously, until we get in there, we don't know how much of a challenge he's going to be, whether he's going to be more or less than my last few opponents, but that's the game we're in.
What strikes me is, you've obviously just said yourself, your ambition and everything is to get to world level. Now, people have been talking a lot, and you have, about British level, British titles. Would you not say but fighting these quality Mexicans is going to serve you a lot better in the long run, where world titles are concerned, than fighting the guys you've been talking about at British level? Yeah,
of course. The tougher fights I've had have been these sort of international, Mexicans and the Portuguese, and the easiest title fight I probably had was my Ryan Farrig fight, which I got more praise for than the others. So I'm learning my craft. I'm getting in the ring and doing 10-round hard fights where I've got to stay switched on all 10 rounds, and that's experience in its own. I know that when it starts, getting a bit deep waters, that I can come out. A lot of these fighters that are sort of really happy doing loads of 4-6 rounders and sort of picking their way through the journeyman and trying to get easy title shots, and that when it eventually comes up, when they're up against it, they haven't gone through those tests or those gut checks, so they start doubting themselves in the ring, and as soon as you do that, then it's game over.
So a lot of these English or British boys might be giving you a swerve, but they might actually also be doing you a favour.
Yeah, I'm in a position now where I don't really need them. I'm fighting an unknown quantity in Guarneros. No one on these hours has heard his name before. I'm on a stacked card of good domestic talent. I'm headlining, so I think that speaks volumes of where my career is at. I don't need any of these other domestic names, really. I could just keep pushing on, keep fighting my contract fights, and then land a good world title shot for good money. Ideally, I'd like to fight and build my career off a few good domestic dust-ups, because I think you get a lot more credit, a lot more praise for them fights, but they're not really any harder for me personally, I don't think, and like I said, I don't need them really.
You've had a great stage over your last few fights on BT Sport, but most importantly, the feedback has been really positive and people have enjoyed watching you. That must be good for you to hear.
Of course, I think up to my 9th fight, I think it was, I hadn't boxed live on TV. Me and Grant was talking the other day, and on fight night, in the space of 11 months, it'll be my 5th title fight live on TV in a row, and it'll be my 2nd headline. I've chief supported twice, and then I've been on a big card with Dubois and Gorman. So as a flyweight, super flyweight, I think I'm getting just as much exposure as anyone else out there at the moment, and I've been putting in a performance to warrant it. So as long as BT are happy with me, and the response they're getting, the views they're getting, the feedback they're getting, Frank Warren's happy with my trajectory in my career, MTK are happy with the fights I'm getting, then I'm in a perfect place really. All I've got to do is do the hard work in the gym and deliver on fight night, and so far I've been doing it, but obviously you got to put the work in every single fight. You can't sort of rest on your laurels or get ahead of yourself, otherwise that's when you start falling behind.
Looking back at Gallardo last time out, I think it might have been the 5th round, and I think you decided to stand and trade with him a bit, getting a little bit of a scrap. Was that something maybe Grant was against? Did he sort of bat it out of you in between rounds?
Not necessarily, because what I've been working on, especially in sparring and my fights as well, is doing all my boxing, doing all my moving, being busy, outscoring people. But then in the mid rounds, holding my feet a little bit, letting them know I can throw back, get them in a rhythm where they think they're landing a few more shots, because then down the stretch when I take it away from them again, it switches it again. Changing the pace is vital in boxing. You can't just trance around the ring for 10 rounds. People get too comfortable with the rhythm. If I spend a couple of rounds, sitting in that pocket a little bit longer, don't get me wrong, if I take like a clean shot or I feel like I want a little rest, I can nick that easily, do you know what I mean? Or if I take a shot, I can wrap up and move on. So everything's within my comfort, I'd like to think, and I feel like I have been in my last few fights, getting some of my best work when I've been in the pocket and landing some of my cleanest shots. And even when people are out throwing me when I'm on the ropes or sitting in the pocket 3-4 shots to 1, they're missing a lot, they're hitting arms a lot, and then the clean shots that people are remembering are the big sort of left hooks, the uppercuts, you know what I mean? So it's just little things I've been working on it, and against opponents like that, where they're tough, they're limited skill-wise, but they're very game and they keep throwing if you're in front of them, you can sort of practice things, because they're not world-class punchers, you know what I mean? I'm not going to try and sell that. They're not world-class punchers, so you can get away with a little few things and work on things that obviously, if I was in there against one of the top boys, unless I had to sit in the pocket for whatever reason, then I'm not going to do that.
Don't get me wrong, I mean, it's something that obviously makes it more entertaining for the fans. And I think Frank said, when I mentioned it to him at the time, he said he likes it because it shows that you've got a bit of everything. You've got two sides to your game or more.
Yeah, but they're the times you can really practice. It's all right doing it in sparring, but until you've got 8-ounce gloves with someone, no head guard, and they're really trying to take your head off, you can't get the same sort of intensity. So I also let them tire themselves out a little bit, because after 3-4 rounds of them shadow boxing, that 5th, 6th, 7th round, once that, they always seem to feel like they're getting to me. Every single opponent we give them the idea that they're getting to me, because I start slamming my feet a little bit, trading them that little bit more, letting them lay on me a little bit more, sitting. But as soon as I want to start turning the screw again, they're chasing me again, and they're not even winning those rounds. That they're closing the gap, and they're tiring themselves out. Everything's within my comfort zone. Like I said, I'm very, very fit, even though looks might be deceiving. You know what I mean? I don't get down to incredibly low body fat percentage.
I have that as well. Yeah.
But I'm very fit. I've got a lot of endurance, and as soon as I want to nick a rest or get back onto my boxing, I feel like it's not working, I'm not finding the shots, or they're out hustling me for periods of the round. Because even when I'm sitting in range, I still feel like I'm winning the rounds, because not too many clean shots getting hit. Obviously, if you're sitting in range, little body shots or a little top of the head shot's going to come through. But I think everything is, like I said, is in my comfort zone, and I enjoy it as well. Do you know what I mean? It gives you a little buzz, and then as soon as I hear the orders getting hollered from the corner by Grant Smith, get back around the ring now, then I do just that.
Back to flyweight next time.
Well, you say back to, the first time since I've been an amateur, do you know what I mean? I've not been down at this weight since I was an amateur. All my fights at pro have been at super fly or heavier.
You're on a diet, aren't you?
Something like that. I'm looking slim, don't you think? Yeah, it's something that's always been well within my reach. I mean, there was times where I was getting in the ring 24, 36 hours after a weigh-in against Ryan Farag, for example, at 53.5 kilos, and in new money that means I'm 1.3 kilos heavier than what I weighed in yesterday. So weight is not an issue, do you know what I mean? Even my IBF check weight for my last fight, Gallardo, I was under the flyweight check weight limit, if that makes sense, even though I was boxing at super flyweight. So weight's not a massive issue for me. I'm not the smallest, but I'm far from the biggest at the weight. I like to think I'm quite well set and quite sturdy, even though obviously I'm only young, I'm still maturing all the time. But now that sort of the domestic scene seems to have been bypassed because of a lack of willing opposition, obviously we're still open to hear any offers. I still am looking for all these fights, but I'm not going to stall my career. But because we're looking with more sights set on the world honours, because you know what I mean, I'm already ranked number 4 at WBO. I'm ranked 30 for the IBF, both at super flyweight. My ranking's going to come down with me to flyweight, so it'll be interesting to see after this fight, obviously, as long as I win, what I get ranked at. But it's all exciting, and I think flyweight I'm more ready to challenge for world titles. I would like to think so, but who knows, until you really get in there up against a world level opposition, you don't know, and that's the game we're in.
You've called out a few fights over the years so far. One name in particular that's been associated with you. So what do you think about Paddy Barnes fighting Jay Harris? You surprised when that came about?
Do you know what? I was quite surprised. Like I've said a few times, Jay Harris is a good friend of mine, and I wish him all the best, and I hope he wins on a personal level as well as I think he will win. Like, I'd be very, very, very surprised if he didn't. But yeah, I think it's a good fight. It's good enough to headline the card it is.
Do you think it's a precursor to Harris potentially getting in with Selby, Andrew Selby?
Potentially, but I think that fight could have happened now because they were mandated for the British title, so that could have happened now.
It's still there, I suppose.
Yeah, I think Paddy Barnes is a lot easier fight than Andrew Selby, so I don't know how much Jay's earning for it, but if it was similar, then of course go for Paddy. But they're obviously two fights that I wanted, you know, Paddy Barnes. Jay Harris, we were sort of muted for the British title at one point. Obviously then he got the European title shot, so it never happened. But yeah, it's like everyone wants to fight each other but doesn't want to fight me.
I don't want to labour the point on the weekend particularly, but the name Julio Cesar Martinez, I did hear somewhere, but you quite fancy fighting him now.
I mean, it's a fight I'd 100% be open to hearing the offer to. I think it's now got a built-in backstory which sort of sells it a lot easier for me, which means it should be a lot more lucrative if it does come about. But what do you think I've been fighting all these heavy-hitting Mexicans for? Do you know what I mean? For my eventual shot against someone that can bang like Martinez. I feel like there's a lot in his style that can be beat and can be picked apart.
You might be more suited to it than your brother.
I think everyone, even he would say that, just because I can get in with a lot heavier punches than me, and the way my style is, my reactions, I could go a 10, 12 round fight without really shipping any big punches. You know, you get caught here and there, but every sort of wild punch, I tend to have that sort of spidey senses that keeps me out of the way of them. Obviously that only can go so far, but I just feel like my style is more suited to someone like Martinez than my brother. Also, Charlie had outgrown the weight. You could see on the scales that he didn't look the best, which is no excuse. I mean, once you get down to the weight, you know what you're signing up for. This is the hurt game, as they say. But like I'd said before, if Charlie wasn't holding a world title, he wouldn't still be at flyweight. He wouldn't have still been at flyweight. And Martinez is one of those opponents for his style matchup. He would never have, voluntary got. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, when it comes up as your mandatory, Charlie weren't giving up the title for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Just because he didn't want to fight a hard fight, so he took the fight. Somehow, still.
Maybe leave you to deal with a rematch.
Yeah, definitely.
Turn up instead of him.
Yeah, I just need to dye my hair and get a few tattoos, and I'll be alright.
I want to explore this a little bit. The dynamics of boxing brothers, in terms of how were you feeling on Saturday night when Martinez was putting it on your brother? Or are you just such experienced boxing people now that have been doing it all your lives, it's just second nature, and what's that feeling inside when obviously you feel the victories and you're elated, but what's it like when you actually see your brother struggling?
I mean, it's somewhere I've been before, the Casemiro fight, a few of his amateur fights. It's not nice, obviously, it's your brother, but when he's in there, it's just another person that I care about. Do you know what I mean? Any of the lads at the gym, I'll be the same. I'm cool. Whoever's sat near me near a fight knows I'm very sort of energetic. It's like I'm in there with them. I'm calling the fight, offering my advice all the way through. Charlie listens to me a hell of a lot. It was one of those. My deep gut was that Charlie was up against it the whole way through. The camp, fight week, and I was nervous, and I know enough about boxing. I would say my IQ is high enough that if I'm nervous about something, that there's a reason why. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't that nervous with Rosales. I thought if that wasn't for a world title, Charlie would have beat him any day of the week. But it's because there was a world title on the line, that could have been the thing that sort of got to him. Obviously Marino wasn't nervous, but do you know what I mean? There was something in the air, and just being around him, making weight and stuff like that. But yeah,
you always feel it worse for each other than you do for yourselves, I suppose.
100%. If anyone's seen me, in the change rooms, anyone's seen me on fight week, fight night, I'm very relaxed for myself. I take everything in my stride. I've had board inspectors tell me There's been title fights, TV. Bear in mind, I've been like 21, 22 at these times. Like, I've never been in a change room with someone so relaxed as you, and they've been in with, you know, world champions. Because it's just my character. I get in, and a lot of the times in my fights, the first bell goes and people would think I'm half asleep. Do you know what I mean? I'm so relaxed, and I don't need to get fired up for anything. But obviously, I think Charlie's quite jittery when I'm fighting, even if it's
older as well, isn't he?
Yeah, of course. But then the same way as him, he doesn't really get sort of like nervous and like fricked to death when he's fighting. But I'll get nervous for him, and vice versa. I would much rather be fighting than watching him fight. Let's put it that way. Because I've seen all the years and the sacrifice and dedication he's made from an early age. So to see him fall short of anything, it hurts me more. If I lose, I feel like it's just on me. Do you know what I mean? I'll shrug myself off. It doesn't really affect me too much. Like, I lost as an amateur, I can lose as a pro. I just want to be in big fights, and you get out what you put in.
How is the boy? Is he all right?
Yeah, he's got some new teeth. He'll be all right.
Cheer him up.
Yeah. He'll be smiling a lot.
Facial therapy.
Yeah, but no, he's good. I know people, boxing fans, and the public don't care about these side of things, but business-wise, he's as good as any position he's ever been in. Do you know what I mean? Like, speaking honestly, he's somehow still the world champion. He's in his next fight of a contract, etc. So his profile is as big as it ever has been.
And he's been farming as well.
So he's in a great place. And if people completely write him off now, they can do that at their own peril. Do you get me? And if people are tuning in to a Charlie Edwards fight to either see him make a world champion look silly and school someone for 12 rounds, or get ironed out, it makes him a very attractive fighter to watch. You know, so many fighters have built their career on such thing.
Just finally, on back to you. What do you think the chances are of you and your old mate Harvey Horn getting on at some point this year or next, and also Joe Mafosa? Just the fact that you're under the same promotional banner.
You know, I don't even want to speak about Harvey, to be honest. I've been asked and mentioned about him, but he's made it very clear he's not asked. He can keep saying, give me a couple of 8 rounds, a couple of 10 rounds, a couple of 12 rounds, and I'll be ready to fight him. By then, I'll probably be like 30, 4-weight world champion.
30 years old.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I'm not even going to... Look, we turned pro at a similar time. By his 7th fight, he's fighting in his first 8 rounder against Journeyman. By my, I think, 5th or 6th fight, I was in a 10-round title fight. I'm headlining shows while he's way down at the bottom of my undercard, so Harvey Horn means nothing to me at the end of the day. Joe Mafosa the same.
You have to ask to get on your undercard.
I let him, do you know what I mean? I said to Frank, no, give him a slot. Do you know what I mean? We had a little word. He was like, I don't. And I was like, no, it's all right. One of the Repton boys, do you know what I mean?
That's cool. Sonny, thank you very much, son.
Cheers.